Well, we begin the Power Zone Sports podcast off, unfortunately, with some sad news. As Larry Allen, for my money, the greatest lineman in the history of the NFL, and not just because he played for the Cowboys, but because of his physical prowess as an offensive lineman, was something to behold, has passed away. And he was a Super Bowl champion on the Cowboys squad of Super Bowl 30. And according to the Cowboys, he bench pressed 700 pounds and squatted 900 pounds. He was a lineman who played guard as well as tackle, and the man had a 14 season career. He played 12 seasons with the Cowboys. Final 2 seasons he played with the San Francisco 49ers. Went to college at went to college in California, so maybe a little bit of homecoming there. But it's a sad time when a Hall of Famer uh, passes away, and he passed away apparently while on vacation with his family in Mexico. So it's a sad time when that happens. But Larry Allen, number 73 on the Cowboys, will never be forgotten. One of the best to ever do it, and for my money, the best lineman to ever play the game, has passed away. And he is enshrined in the Ring of Honor at Cowboys Stadium. He is one of the names you see emblazoned around the stadium, along with Troy Aikman, Roger Staubach, Jimmy Johnson now. Uh, so he is a Hall of Famer, and he will be remembered anytime that the Cowboys talk about that Super Bowl 30 squad, which that was the last time the Cowboys made it to and won a Super Bowl. Of course, that was the year the Cowboys beat the Steelers, and that was the Super Bowl game where Neil O'Donnell threw 3 interceptions. And that game was a Cowboys victory, and of course it was under Barry Switzer, not Jimmy Johnson. That was the last Super Bowl victory the Cowboys have had up to this point. And so we will remember that Larry Allen. Always remember his family. It's a sad time. But speaking of Dallas Cowboys, Justin Jefferson of the Vikings just got paid some buku bucks, but CeeDee Lamb of the Cowboys, our number one wide receiver, number 88, is holding out and will not report to training camp because he wants a new contract. And so the wide receiver market continues to get readjusted. Tyreek Hill was traded from Kansas City to Miami, and Miami pays him a huge contract. Justin Jefferson just got a huge contract. I'll spare you the details of it because numbers don't really translate in an audio podcast. But now CeeDee Lamb wants a similar contract with them. But the Cowboys have a big problem. It's the last year for Dak. It's the last year for Michael Parsons, and CeeDee Lamb now also wants to be paid a similar salary as Justin Jefferson, as Tyreek Hill. So it's Jerry Jones is going to have to use some of that cap space there to make sure that he can pay these guys, or even if he can pay these guys. I remember in 2013, 2014, the Cowboys let DeMarco Murray, the running back, walk because they didn't think they could afford to pay DeMarco Murray and Dez Bryant, which was a move at the time that I agreed with because I said, yeah, I think I would rather pay a young upstart wide receiver than a young upstart running back. You can do running back by committee until you find somebody. And, of course, Cowboys are now talking about doing running back by committee, even though Ezekiel Elliott just made his way back to the team. And Ezekiel Elliott will be the. I fully anticipate him being running back RB1 for the Cowboys. So Ezekiel Elliott's final snap as a Dallas Cowboy will not be the horrendous final play of the Cowboys 49ers game where they're like, let's make Ezekiel Elliott play center and hike the ball to Dak Prescott in some type of ridiculous play call that I, to this day, do not understand. But I guarantee you the situation in that case was the coaches said everyone in the stadium knows the call would be a Hail Mary. So let's do something that nobody's ever seen before and see if it works. Um, but the play just completely blew up. There was no whatever that play was supposed to be. It was just doomed from the start. And in that situation, the call is Hail Mary. The Cowboys are the inventors of the Hail Mary. And in that situation, if Dak can't heave it into the end zone, and that was the only playoff loss where I will say the defense did their job. They held the 49ers, but the offense just couldn't score. And the Cowboys had kicking issues as well in that game. So if it came down to field goals, the Cowboys were going to lose in that contest as well for that reason. With that being said, it's very interesting to see what the Cowboys are up to. Will Micah Parsons get a new contract? Will Micah Parsons continue to ball out this year on defense? We will see. So we'll see who's going to win the division this year. The Washington Commanders have a new head coach. It's the former Cowboys defensive coordinator Dan Quinn is now the Washington Commanders head coach. And so, and considering the luck of the NFC East, there's been a different division winner every year since 2000. And so we will see if Dan Quinn, way to make the Washington franchise look like a genius, your head coach wins the NFC East his first year with a new quarterback at the helm. And so Washington, it seems like for the past few years, they had everything but a quarterback. And if they ever found one that they liked, they would be a dangerous team. And they have certainly shown that they are a dangerous squad with over the past few years. They certainly had some talented coaches, Ron Rivera, but the talent just wasn't there for Ron Rivera. So Dan Quinn, they get a new quarterback. They draft a quarterback, and we'll see how the Commanders do. It's still weird calling them the Commanders and not the nameless, faceless football team, Washington football team. But that being said, it'll be very interesting, and also keeping the theme of the NFC East, the New York Giants are expecting their tight end Darren Waller, the starting tight end from last season, to retire. And so they've drafted and they've signed some replacements to the tight end position. But we'll see if the Giants will be apparently pleasantly surprised if he comes back. But it'll be interesting to see how that plays out for them. All right, enough. Speaking of Dallas, we've got the NBA Finals, and the Dallas Mavericks and the Boston Celtics are matching up for the NBA Finals. And so Dallas trying to get their first NBA championship since 2011. And for the Boston Celtics, they're trying to win their first NBA championship since the big three of Kevin Garnett, Ray Allen, and Paul Pierce in 2008. And so we will see. Of course, the way the Mavericks destroyed the Timberwolves, especially later on, the way that Luka Doncic was just dominating Game 7. It's very, he and Kyrie Irving I can see why the NBA on TNT crew were saying that these two are the greatest backcourt of all time. And if players like them are saying it, then I would generally agree with that sentiment as well. Kyrie Irving, Luka Doncic, it's simply incredible. I remember when the trade was made for Kyrie Irving. I remember reading one article that said Kyrie Irving's washed up. He's in the tank. Well, the Mavericks certainly believed in Kyrie Irving, and they certainly thought pairing him with Luka Doncic would pay off big time. And look at them. The Mavericks are in the NBA Finals because of that. So Mavs and Celtics are going to play for the finals. Who's going to come out on top in that matchup? We will find out shortly.